What's up, guys? I'm Jenelle Paris. I am the founder of Lash Affair, and I am here with Kyla Collins, our new permanent makeup artist located at Lash Affair Studios. We're so excited to have you here. Truly, I'm elated, if you want to call it. We are going to talk about you today. I want people to know about you, your experience, your credentials. You're a woman of the world. I'm so taken back by your bio. I mean, you have so many certifications.
Thank you.
You were an educator, so I want you to share with our studio guests and our followers how great you are.
Thank you for having me at Lash Affair. I am just as elated. I am super excited to meet all the guests here and even some staff, I'm sure. They're gonna get some services, right? All right, so me, myself, and I.
I know, it's always so weird talking about yourself, but it's fine. So where are you from?
Very, very common question that I always get. I am from a town in South Africa called Somerset West, and my family still lives there, and I cannot wait to go back and visit with all the craziness that's been going on. But from there, I decided that I wanted to travel. I'm just so excited about it. My mom is a travel agent, or used to be a travel agent, and she gave me the travel bug, and I turned that into a career, and I decided to work doing this beauty world on cruise ships.
I almost did that.
Really?
Yeah, when I was in aesthetic school, one of my instructors, that's where she had came from. So she was from Ireland and spoke so highly of that. So I admire that career path. That's fun.
Love the Irish accent.
Yeah.
Anywho's, so I worked on cruise ships and busted tail feathers, saw most of the world at a very young age, and then straight after that, moving.
What were you doing on the cruise ships? Were you actually doing services like aesthetics and?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I was doing aesthetic services, I was doing massage therapy, I was doing nails, I was running the spa, I was doing conferences and educational talks. I mean, the list was endless. It was always something somewhere, and hosting events and all these big things. And
that's exciting.
Super exciting. I got so many stories to tell, and feel free to ask me. I can definitely have fun with those. And then after that, then I moved to the US, and I moved straight to New York City.
Oh, into the belly of the beast.
Right into the belly of the beast. It was definitely all that I have ever heard of, and
aggressive.
Exactly the perfect word. The perfect word. Aggressive from situational moments, from being from a coastal town in South Africa into literally the big city. To the public transport, to the personalities, to the snow, to everything. It was definitely an experience of a lifetime. But I started, when I came into the States, I launched right into education.
So becoming an instructor.
Yeah, so I did that. I got my instructor's degree and license out in New York, and loved every minute of it. Just communicating with people every single day, all the time. You can see I don't stop talking. It's
you're
fun.
in the perfect career path for you. It's never boring. You're so passionate. You don't know when to cut yourself off.
Truth.
You picked the right career.
The right angle.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you got your instructor's license, New York, and then what brought you to Arizona?
I was actually communicating with an Irish friend of mine who has a school out in Ireland in one of those beautiful old castles.
That's fun.
Right, and she connected me to another school out here that was looking for an educator that had worldly licenses. So I could train the students of Arizona in order to have international certifications.
Oh.
Yeah. So
okay.
I dove into all of that, and again had so much fun. It was definitely a little bit different than New York, because I remember having one class just purely Japanese students and one class purely Korean students. So I had a cultural lesson alongside educating them.
That's cool.
But being here in Arizona is definitely a lot warmer, and has connected me into so many different avenues on how this industry is so well connected.
Yes.
And so spread out at the same time. There is so many levels to every single thing that we do out here. And so dove into teaching and just kept teaching for another 10 odd years, and absolutely love
so
that.
aesthetic, just is it mainly aesthetics? Skincare?
Yes.
Permanent makeup?
No, not the permanent makeup at that location. So it was mostly the aesthetics, but I was actually teaching lasers.
Oh, cool.
So I was more in the medical side of aesthetics now, and massage had stayed back in New York, and it was more medical. The way that the license had evolved was pulling a lot more to the medical side. So to have a student demographic walk into the Arizona huge medical industry as a medical esthetician was a big calling for a lot of people. So we evolved.
That's great.
And then from that, I decided to grow my family, and working a 9-to-5 was a bit tricky.
Yeah.
So with having my 4 kiddos, I decided to become my own boss and have my business running, starting with lashes, and has just exploded, and loved the journey as how it's taken me through permanent makeup. And that instant gratification is just really speaks to my heart, and the excitement that my clients have with it. So I still get to stay connected in the industry, and in turn, I've met you.
I know.
I've met you.
Love that. We met in the lash arena though. So
Yes.
it wasn't even permanent makeup.
No, that's
so,
right.
Talk to me about the permanent makeup certifications that you've taken, because I've been into your space and they are covering the wall. So not only do you have multiple lash certifications, but you have multiple permanent makeup certifications, different styles, different sort of leaders in that space.
Thank you.
Have taught you their tips and tricks. So I feel like every time I've spoken to you, you'll often give credit to somebody that you've learned to, and it's often different people. So I like that I'm
a sucker for education.
Yeah, so that's great.
Absolutely love it. Yes, when it comes to permanent makeup, I have a multitude of certifications, because every educator brings something different to the table.
They really do.
Someone has a trick or a tip that I haven't thought of yet, or I have evolved something that they have taught me. And when learning permanent makeup, I came across a ton of little struggles, and then started to say, you know what, I'm not alone, and communicate with so many different other permanent makeup artists in the Valley to build up this communication and network to help strengthen everyone else within the industry as well, because just like in lashing, we're not alone, but we feel alone sometimes.
You're not alone. Truthfully, I feel like that is such a common phrase that comes up. I do a lot of mentoring calls. People always think that they're alone, and I quickly remind them that we have the same struggles. So I love the sense of community, and I love that's obviously why, or one of the reasons why you got into educating, is you like to help other people, right?
Yes.
And so by doing that, you're elevating not only our community, but our industry. As you said, it's so connected as a whole.
Yes.
I believe that's my philosophy with lashing. That's why I love teaching people classic skills, those fundamentals. So I feel as though that's such a healthy aspect to being an educator, is wanting to give everything away and not wanting to hoard information.
Right.
So I think that's really
think
great of you.
To tie into that, thank you. To tie into that with not only on a student vision, but also on a client vision. A lot of our clients are so savvy nowadays, and they really do their due diligence in diving into the service that they're going to get. Now, I will give them credit for that. So I feel like giving the client the education that they need to feel like they are part of the decision process as much as I am is definitely something that helps me feel more complete.
Like fulfilled.
Yes.
Yeah. I always think that, because that's why we should have these strong consultations, right? It's one thing to have somebody just be like, okay, we're going to do lashes, or we're going to do brows today. That's great, but you're not nearly as invested as guiding them, bringing them along the journey, they'll feel more invested to do the aftercare, to be part of the process. So I think that is such an important factor. So if you're going to somebody and they either don't do a consultation or they skim right by that, you'll be able to feel someone's experience. Ask those questions, and are you satisfied with the way that they answer? Because that is a sure sign that maybe you are going to someone that doesn't have,
Right.
an educator's license in multiple states and around the country, around the world, for that matter.
And to create that relationship with the client, I give you my phone number. I want to know, are you doing okay? Are you loving it as much as I do? Send me a picture. Let's.
I've been thinking about your brows. I don't know if you are, but.
Right. Good morning, gorgeous.
Yes.
How you doing?
Yeah. So you have that personal. So what I'm hearing is you have such a personal relationship with your clients, not only during the treatment but after, guiding them and helping them with their expectations. So I think that's awesome. So it truly is. So you hold not only educators' licenses, but you hold multiple certificates internationally, and anything else you want to?
So proud of them.
You should be so proud of that. That's a lot of years, right? How long have you been in the industry?
I believe, I did the math the other day, I believe I'm coming up on to about 17 years.
That is, I have about the same amount since 2003. No, it's a little more than that. But that's the type of experience. So I feel like I enjoy talking to you so much, is that you can't buy that. You can't fake experience. Like you can try to take all the classes and do all the things, but really at the end of the day, it's those 17 years of learning, messing up, asking questions, pivoting.
Yes.
That experience is so important, right?
Yes.
Where it's like, people should look for perfection, because that's not how it works.
No,
You're going to
that's
do
right.
a bunch of bad lashes before you realize, oh, okay, this is how they should be. So you have to go through all the phases. So there's so much value in that, is
And
having that experience.
I even have some of my beginning work still on Instagram.
Good. Yeah, no, it's humbling, right?
You're like,
oh, I thought
Do
I
not
was
scroll
killing
too
it.
far.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you bring that up, because I actually had a client say that to me the other day. She goes, I just love you, because if they say don't do it, you say why, and then you can tell me exactly why.
But you have to be able to know how to answer that question, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's one thing that we see a lot of nowadays, that people are just like right out of a certification, and then they're teaching other people, or they're taking clients the very next day. So
It needs to be a bit of a journey first.
a little bit of a journey.
Just a little journey.
Just a little bit. Get some experience yourself before you start doing permanent services on other people. So
True.
I feel very comfortable, confident in having you do my services.
I am so excited.
Yeah.
I am so excited.
So there you have it.
I cannot wait to meet the guests of Lash Affair. I cannot wait to do your permanent makeup for you, because permanent makeup makes such a difference in everyone's lives.
So I've heard.
A lot of clients have come to me with their struggles and walked away feeling like $1 million.
Yeah,
I've
confidence.
absolutely love it. Exactly.
It's it's a little bit more of a permanent solution, say, to lashes, because I feel like lashes have that same effect where you can really transform somebody. So before we get into the details, let's just talk about what is permanent makeup. Sometimes you see that acronym PMU, that stands for permanent makeup.
True.
So let's just really get granular as to what it is, because I know that there is microblading, there's a lot of terms that you can hear. So specifically speaking, what is permanent makeup?
Specifically speaking, permanent makeup is a application, it is a tattoo at the end of the day. Microblading is a tattoo, powder brows, ombre brows, lip blush, lip liner, eyeliner, all of those are essentially a permanent, maintainable
facial tattoo.
A facial tattoo.
Sounds a little scary when you say it in that way, but at the end of the day, that's why choosing a professional that's going to give you natural results is the goal. So be careful who you go to.
Understanding a lot of the ins and outs of a procedure, which I hope that we get to cover today or in future videos. Definitely stay tuned for our series. Is you'll find out a lot about what each type of style is and what may work best for you. And when it comes down to permanent makeup, I can definitely say that it has made my life easy. I'm refreshed in the morning. I don't need to worry about looking good all the time. Wearing masks nowadays, it's so refreshing to know that I'm not to have lipstick smudged halfway up my cheek or something along those lines.
The ease of, say for me, I've always kind of had troubles getting my life together in the morning, right? So I think not having to, I mean, I can speak from lash extensions, so not having to wear so much makeup on the eyes or none at all really saves you time.
True.
And like you said, you feel refreshed and you just look more awake and it's just like a healthier glow. So I think this treatment is perfect for people that want to look together but not have to spend the time daily getting there. So the convenience factor for me is invaluable.
Completely, especially for the client that gets so excited about their makeup when they get their brows at the perfect angle and one is not higher than the other or shorter than the other. It just drives you insane because you do it so well in the mirror at home and then you get in the car and you're like, gosh dang it.
I'm making all these weird expressions, so.
Well, speaking of that, your permanent makeup artist should be able to make your brows with your personality included.
Oh.
Because having an expressionable brow is who you are. So to really design the brow to make it you is super important.
Awesome. So this will all come down to the design aspect during the consultation, and having these long form conversations to really get to know your client is super important in any service that you do, especially if it's going to be one that will impact them on a permanent level.
Right, correct.
Right? So take the time, get to know your artist, and vice versa, so you have that transparency into the lifestyle. So I hear so many values with the service already. So less time getting ready, less money that you'll spend on cosmetics. That's a big one that I hear a lot is that it can be on the pricier side, but we can get into the price breakdown later depending on what service that you get. But for me, I feel like when you save time and you save money on other products, it's, to me, outweighs the initial investment, right?
Yes.
So that's great. Let's get into now some of the commonly asked questions around permanent makeup.
Okay.
So for me, the big one is, does it hurt?
That is definitely one of the most frequently asked questions.
Because I have tattoos and those did not feel that great.
Right.
Some places are a little bit more sensitive than others, but I would imagine, I've had lip waxing and I've had, my brows tweezed, and sometimes those areas are really sensitive. So please tell me that it doesn't hurt.
In a nutshell, you do notice the sensation that the service is occurring. However, the environment that is set, just like with getting lashes, it definitely helps communicate a level of comfort with the client. Knowing your artist, as you had mentioned in that consultation, also helps create that comfort with the client and artist to know that there's a level of trust.
Yeah. That makes such a difference too, because it's just all about the setting and how somebody makes you feel. So you walk into, not saying this is just a scenario that we will not be delivering at Lash Affair.
Correct.
You come into the waiting area, this hectic behavior, people are running around, you feel that sense of like hectic energy. So I feel like what we do here differently is every step of the way is relaxing. The music is relaxing, the lighting is relaxing, the way you're greeted is relaxing.
Correct.
Your tone of voice, first of all, I don't know if anyone's ever told you that, the way you speak is very relaxing.
Thank you.
I think it's because you're confident and you know the information, and I think that really sets the tone. You feed off people's energy, so you want your client to walk in and feel that confidence. So that I do in any service that you're doing, waxing, that matters so much. So making sure that you're choosing a professional that makes you feel that way. Even me, I chose to work with you for a reason, because when I'm around you, I feel those things. I feel relaxed. I feel that I'm going to be taken care of. I feel that when I ask questions, you completely answer me with confidence. So I think that if you have somebody that's not delivering those feelings, you're already going to be nervous. You're going to be nervous though, right?
Yeah.
If you have somebody that's guiding you in the right way, that to me will set the tone, because you're saying that the service doesn't hurt. I think we often play up these scenarios in our mind.
Right.
It's always a reflection of, oh my God, that was so not even bad. It was me working up. It's like when I go to get a shot at the doctor or just anything that I'm like, all right, it was me that was so much worse. So the fact that it doesn't hurt makes me excited to get all the things done. But can you explain maybe why that it doesn't hurt?
It's a very good question.
Yeah, because it seems confusing.
There's a lot more of a technical aspect to all of that, and it's pretty exciting when you hear my brain start getting all nerdy with this type stuff. But essentially, you have to know your tools as an artist.
Sure.
You have to know what is going to provide your client the best situation by utilizing and choosing the tools that are going to provide you with the ultimate outcome. So by choosing all of these type of environmental situations, so like my tools, my needles, my finding an in-depth medical history, like does my client have Botox, fillers, all of those type of things will help me decide the best paintbrush to use for my design.
Sure.
To get me to the result I need.
I like that.
Yes, and when utilizing the treatment, I definitely communicate with my client with regards to these are the do's and don'ts before your treatment to ultimately get us to the best result and the best healing and post-care as well.
So it's a little bit of consideration prior. So you're just setting the appointment up for success.
Yes.
Through, I'm sure you have like a consultation form, a
checklist,
so to speak. So that's great. Okay, so it doesn't hurt. That's good to know, because I am really interested in getting the lip blush. I'm actually going to be getting it done.
Yes.
I'm
yes,
committing.
we're all booked. We're
live
ready
here.
to go.
I put it out there in the world. I'm going to be getting it done because I just feel like I've had some filler, just full transparency. I've had filler before. I feel like I'm losing a little bit of my border. So I'm hoping that will solve that problem for me.
It does bring in a beautiful pop of color to contrast the lip color to your skin tone color, and therefore just define them. Give them that shape, that Cupid's bow, that perfect little heart.
Yes.
All the gorgeous aspects.
I'm like, tell me more. Tell me more what my lips are gonna look like. Okay, so what, you're obviously, this is your arena. What do you feel like is the next most common question that's asked? Because I know for me, my next one is, how long does it last? I don't know, do you get that a lot?
Yes, I definitely do get that a lot. And as I mentioned earlier, is that it's permanent to a point, because our skin is a forever changing canvas.
Sure.
And with our skin being a forever changing canvas, you'll notice that it softens and it fades ever so slightly. And again, your artist, knowing the tools that they're using, the colors, they should be able to fade consistently without evolving to the wrong color, which we can dive into later.
Yeah.
But there is a level of maintenance. So on average, we're looking at around about annual touch-ups if you always want to have that perfect crisp look. If you don't mind it being a little softer, you can do something again in about 3 to 5 years.
Oh,
it's fantastic.
Wow. All right. So after my first little, I'm saying mine because I'll just it's all about me today. So I'm gonna get my lips done, and then so. Typically, how many sessions do you do initially? So before the first touch-up. So you would do one initial one.
Right.
Because I know you pride yourself on being the queen of natural, which I love that in an artist, because you can always add more. You can't take it away. So that's such a considerate approach, if you will.
I also feel by doing
2 sessions?
a more conservative approach, my client also gets to see the vision of the transformation during that healing.
Nice.
Because in the beginning, it is very bold in color. and that bold in color can be a little startling on the emotions. So watching how that evolves into the color, hey, we might hit it in one shot. That's fantastic, and you will fall in love with that color, and we're good. Or we might want to add more. So that's where the second session may come in. Every case is different. So by saying there's generally, on average, I say 2 sessions. Some clients may come in and need a third. Some clients might need a fourth, and that is where somebody might have a little bit of darker natural color from pigmentation, maybe from on the top of the lip or anything along those lines, where that needs to be shifted first to get us a neutral canvas, to get us a perfect pop of color.
So this really, as you can see, this is layered and complicated. So there are so many aspects to talk about when even just talking about how many sessions that you need.
Right.
I like that point that you brought up where like people like that emotional tie-in factor, because you know, you might be thinking, I'll just use, again, lashes as an example, because it's all I know. People come, or I used to have clients, they would come and they'd say, I don't want lashes that are bold. I want plain, I want classic, just give me a little something. I would do those lashes on them, they love them, maybe had those for 1 or 2 times, and then more frequent than not, they would come back and they would say, you know what, I want to go a little darker or a little bit more bold. So you start to get used to seeing yourself look a certain way, whether it be through lash enhancement, whether it be through lip blush. So that's so interesting to me, because I could look at you and be like, oh my God, I want them exactly like that. But when you see it on you, you're like, ooh, that's too much. So I like that approach of allowing people to sort of live in what they are visualizing for themselves.
And as you say, I can't take it out.
Yeah, so I like that. Slow and steady.
We grow together.
I always feel I like the way you said that. It's because it is a working relationship. So it's not a direct answer, but I like that answer because it's accurate. So people change their minds on maybe what they thought that they wanted, maybe that their skin is absorbing the color and they're like, sweet, we don't need any more. Or maybe you just feel like you need to do 4 sessions to really get that result you were looking at.
Exactly,
so you might think that you need less, but when it's on you, you might need more. So it can go both ways. So thank you for clearing that up, because that's something that I always think, I'm like, all right, well, how many times am I going to need to get this done? So like with anything, you kind of just have to kind of feel it out a little bit. So I'm feeling more confident just by talking with you now. I don't feel like it's going to hurt. Now, I did mention that I have lip filler, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to get it. Now, is that safe? I'm gathering it is, but I always worry, like, is it going to go too low? The ink from the color from the makeup, is it going to like go in under the skin and have maybe a reaction to my lip filler? So I'm assuming that it is safe and that will not happen.
You're good. You're
All
good.
right.
We're good.
Okay.
Great question. When it comes to lip fillers, that is something that I do need to know, because the lip filler does take up a little bit of that space within the lip tissue itself. And blood is what is providing the lip with color. So if you have your layer of blood tissue and then you have your filler, it's not taking that lip tissue and stretching it just a little bit more. So it makes it just a little bit more delicate. So my approach would have to be more delicate in order to get that perfect depth that you're mentioning, that it's not going too deep, it's not going too shallow. If it's too shallow, it'll just fade away. And we don't want that. We want to have a result. If it goes too deep, it's problematic now, because now we're within the filler bracket and we don't want to be there. So for me to know that you have lip filler helps me guide where the depth needs to range.
Okay, so full transparency is always the safest bet when getting services and dealing with a professional. So I think that sometimes people get a little it's maybe sensitive per se, and they don't want to disclose information, but as you can see, this is really an important step in just being completely open and honest with your professional. So you said it could be problematic if it goes too deep, but it's not dangerous, right?
No, not at all.
So problematic meaning like the color just would react a little bit differently.
The color just gets bolder in that spot.
Bolder.
And then uneven.
Okay.
So it doesn't look even.
But it's safe though.
But it's safe,
Perfect.
100%.
Okay.
So the one thing that I do want to know is the frequency, like when did you get your last lip filler, because I want to make sure that it's not too soon, that I don't start shifting anything when manipulating the lips, when holding it, and so forth. And then with the lip filler, to make sure that you're not going through a dissolving process. So there's a deeper dive when I hear the word lip filler, to make sure, again, that the best results, or that the targeted vision is going to be achieved.
Perfect. Okay, good.
Cool.
All right, so no worries there. It's
No
safe.
worries there, yes.
I have my filler done.
And all of my inks are organic.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so nothing has got chemicals in it that some tattoos are or some inks that aren't regulated. I use everything that is cleared by the FDA here in the US of A. And I make sure that the tools that I have are also USA based, but also are something that I can truly clean deeply in between every single client.
Sure. You have
Ultimate safety is the only way to go.
sterilization machines. And
All of the above.
All of the above. So multiple types. Besides, it goes through
Yep.
a series of.
Yes, I even have a medical device to clean my tools.
Perfect. Yeah. Seeing that it's similar to tattoos, that is definitely very important. People want to feel safe anytime there's any opening of the skin, for sure.
If I wanted to get it done, I want to treat my clients the same way as if I was getting it done.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there that don't do that.
Scarily enough.
Scary, yeah.
Scarily enough, yes.
But not here, so.
Correct.
That's not what we do, so.
No.
What other questions do you feel as though would be important for me to know prior to my
Very good
appointment,
question.
right? So
Yes.
I'm going to disclose all of the times that I've had fillers
Yes.
and all that stuff. But
Yes.
any prep, any I know sometimes they would tell me to go on like arnica or any sort of vitamins that I should double down on.
Okay, it's a very good question. There is a mini list that you will get provided at your appointment or at your consultation, which we'll go over a little bit later. But in all essentialness, I want to make sure that anything you take does not thin the blood. Okay. Fish oils are typical for that. St. John's wort is typical for that, and the obvious, which is Tylenols, Advils, anything along those lines. More intense medical information that we can discuss personally and see where each client, or even yourself when you get yours done, is at, to make sure that you're going to get the best result and the best healing out of it. So you did mention arnica, and that is a great option to help with healing. Being that I'm not a medical doctor, this is something that I cannot prescribe for you to do. So this is something that you can communicate with your physician or over-the-counter pharmacist.
Yeah, I was chatting with another friend of mine who's a permanent makeup artist, and she was speaking about her relationships with injectable nurses and doctors, because there is a synergy there, right?
100%.
Where you can't remedy everything with filler and you can't remedy everything with permanent makeup. So
Correct.
really going to somebody that has these relationships, I think, is a beautiful thing, right? So that would be also something that you could disclose to your filler doctor that you really
Correct.
get. So you can work together to really create these beautiful results.
They are sisters, yes.
Yes.
Yes, they are sisters. Something else that I would just need to make sure that you are aware of is no soaking in any water of any form. So showers, bathtubs, hot tubs, swimming pools. So just to keep the area nice and hygienically clean. I wouldn't recommend having water bottles where your lips are onto the day of, and then also to follow through with the post-care, which we can go over in a minute, to make sure that you, again, get the best results that you're looking for.
Yeah, it is definitely a commitment for sure, where I think that
It's not a long commitment, though.
no,
it's pretty quick.
It's not a commitment. It's a commitment in the sense of, let me be clear. Where again, I'll use lashes as an example, but people come and they'll get lashes, but then they don't do the maintenance, they don't do the aftercare. Where protect your investment is really what I'm trying to say.
Truth. No.
You have to. We have to help each other get there, right? So there is a little bit of maintenance on the client's end, but is very important. And I've learned that. I've had treatments before where maybe I slacked on the ointment after, and you can see like, oh, okay, this is probably why she told me to do that. So if you're gonna make the investment, just making sure that you're taking the time to do the research, what type of credentials the person has, and also the participation on your level that you'll have to do, and just making sure that you'll ready to commit to that.
Right. And one thing that one or two of my clients have mentioned to me is that they had to plan it around big events. So if you do have a big event coming up and you do not want to be extra dry or have a little bit more of a noticeable healing part in the period, just plan it to where you're not going to be smack dab in the middle of the video event or a TV event or a wedding.
Yeah. Anything where you want your lips to be super, super dry, or your brows, right?
Right.
So be considerate about the downtime, because it's not much, but
No.
7 days, you would say? 7
Around
days?
about, yes.
Yeah.
And that is definitely average. A lot of my clients are messaging me back, and I love the healing photos, so definitely send me those. With lips, I typically see around about 3 days.
Oh, wow. So
pretty quick.
Very quick.
Pretty
And then
quick.
with brows? Typically?
Brows on average are around about a little bit longer. Longest I've seen is 2 weeks. Some I've seen is 7 days.
That's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad.
For daily joy of having, I mean, I have pretty thin brows. I really survived the 90s phase of tweezing the top. So not only the bottom, but we would tweeze the top. So naturally, I have just, there's not a lot of hair itself.
Right.
So I know for me, I look at myself without makeup and I'm like, God, I just want to fill them in. I want the more bold brows. So I am over the moon excited to wake up feeling like it just changes the way your face looks. You look more awake. You just look more put together. So I look forward to the mornings where I don't have to fill in these brows at all.
I know, it's super exciting.
Yeah.
And my favorite comment that my sister actually left with me is she goes, well, she's got the bushy brow. Okay, so she's blessed with too many hairs. But
Is that a thing?
Yes, apparently. So for her, she's excited because with having permanent makeup, now she knows she can never mess up the shape.
Oh, so she fills in the brow though?
So we've done the permanent makeup on her, right?
In the bushiness is permanent makeup?
Yes, so on her skin
I
is a
thought you
permanent
meant like
makeup.
hair. Okay.
And then what she does is when she comes around to tweeze them or someone to wax them, she knows she'll always have the perfect shape.
I mean, do you need any other reasons? Perfect shape. I'm sold. I want a perfect shape on all the things.
Oh my gosh.
Every day of my life when I wake up. Is that too much to ask? I
Well,
don't
we
think
are
so.
only going to enhance your beauty because you are gorgeous already.
Well, I have things done, so. I believe it's the lashes. I give all the credit to that. And these brows, I will give that credit to you when I get them done. So we've talked about all the positive stuff. I hate even asking this question because it's breaks my heart that there could potentially be people that aren't good candidates.
Sure.
But I'm sure that that is the case in some scenarios. Is there somebody that wouldn't be a candidate for this?
Yes, if there is a client that approaches me that is under the age of 18,
Okay.
I definitely would say hold your horses. We can definitely do that a little bit later on in life.
Is it really more for like liability reasons
Yes.
because they're underage, or is it like the way the skin tissue is? It's not because of that. It's just because they're
It's
underage.
it's more of a liability type
Okay.
thing.
Well,
It's
good
just
to know.
a safety thing.
Because sometimes people they get procedures too young and they don't give their skin enough chance to stretch, or they get them, way too late, and then
It is
maybe
true.
that could offer a funny or render a funny result.
Not necessarily in this case. Also, keep in mind it is permanent. It's something that that cannot be removed over time. So there's a little bit more of a deeper dive and make sure that there's safety in a lot of different avenues when you're younger in age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you change your mind too.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
And when it comes to anybody that is undergoing a procedure or something where they have to be in close connection with their doctor, so let's say it's chemotherapy or somebody is on, have you heard of Accutane?
Yeah.
So
Terrible.
that
Sorry.
stuff's
My
intense.
opinion. It just does so much damage to the gut bacteria that they're starting to talk about that now. It's I think it really wreaks havoc on
intense.
younger people's systems too.
It's intense.
So I digressed. I'm not here to talk negative about Accutane. Just be careful with that stuff.
It is, yes. Do your
Truly.
research.
Yeah.
Do your research. Knowing that is the case, the skin is compromised when doing procedures like that.
Because it thins it out.
Correct. And the healing is too intense to even go there. Why even cause your body more trauma?
Right.
It's not necessary. Undergoing, I do have clients that are on long-term thyroid medication. You just might see me more frequently. That's about it.
I think that's the same scenario with lashes too. Like that's a question that we do ask, because you do see some, you just see similar things happen when people are on either thyroid medication, whether it be premature shedding of lashes or just retention issues. There's just your skin and hair behave
This is systemic.
differently, right? So again, just be really transparent when answering some of these questions.
Yeah, your safety is the only thing that I have in mind. Your results, I want the best for any and every aspect out of these procedures for you, and I'm not here to say no, to say in any of a mean way. It is more just to be completely clear with you, to say this is the safety, we can do it, or let's guide it to a later point in time. I can always do a consultation with you and dive down and say maybe it's not a now time, maybe it's a later time.
And I think that that's not something that we generally want to hear in consultations, but you do. That's why we're coming to professionals. This is your professional opinion. And I think that it can hurt sometimes when someone is told no, that they don't want something, but it really is in our benefit to listen to the professionals. So if you're not a great candidate, I can't tell you, had to sadly tell a few people, hey, you might not be the best candidate right now because your lashes are in a certain state, but we're gonna take you through this rehab procedure and get you to a better state. So I think that can, again, be very difficult for people to hear because they want what they want, but at the end of the day, it is in our best interest to take these recommendations seriously. So anything else that I'm trying to think of, like, would be a barrier to entry, or something else that somebody would want to know, or you'd want to know, that maybe would prevent them from getting the treatment? Or
two big things.
Okay, there's two.
Yes, one is cold sores.
Oh,
AKA fever blisters. They go by the same name. They are the same thing. And the reason why I say that is I've had a client argue with me on that there are two different things, which is fun. However,
just get caught up
again,
in the name.
I digress on that one.
Yeah.
With this particular lesion, it is a virus that lives in the body. It's just once you get it, you got it, and it flares up when it wants to. When it flares up, when anything is under stress, emotional stress, physical stress, you name it, it'll say hi when it wants to. And if we're doing permanent makeup of any sort, guaranteed it will show its ugly face.
Because I like the word that you just used, trauma.
It is.
Like, in a sense, it is a trauma that you're doing to the body. I mean, it's not a bad trauma in that sense,
it's
but
a controlled trauma.
Controlled trauma that you're inflicting on the skin.
Yes.
So that's part of it. So that definitely makes a lot of sense as to why that you could, or most likely will see a flare up if you have.
So I would recommend for a client that experiences cold sores of any facial part of the body to communicate with their doctor to see if there's an antiviral that they can take prior to the service, that they would have to be religiously on before the service, and then post-care on the service in order to slow that communication for the virus to flare up.
I like that. So that's actually, so it's not a no.
It's not a no.
It just has to be handled properly.
Correct.
Awesome.
Correct.
That's great. So it's not really a barrier. You just have to approach it knowing that that could happen. And what's the other one? You said two.
Okay, so the second one is I need to know if you had permanent makeup done before.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so I have had permanent makeup done before.
You have? Tell me
Let's
more.
talk about this. So I have had multiple sessions on my brows.
Okay.
So I've had, like, I don't even know how to properly say it. This was so long ago, like over 10 years ago, where I don't feel like the technology was as great as it is now, from product to tools, knowledge, data, all that. So this is a long time ago. So she just did it with like the gun, and it just like, she filled it all in, the full brow, right on the skin. So it wasn't hair strokes. So I've had microblading as well on top of that. So I've had quite a few things on my brow. I've actually had microblading twice, and then I've had that one session of, would that just be permanent makeup, tattooed brows? What would that be called?
Well, if
it was just solid and she just filled it all in.
It can be a version of powder brow.
Version of powder brow.
Yes.
All right, so there you have it. So I've had multiple treatments, different types of treatments. I'm sure they went in different depths in the skin. Some faded faster than others. So why would that be important for you to know that?
Very important for me to know that, because I need to know the amount of color that is left behind. Has it completely faded? Has it faded to the right tone that you like it? Has the shape changed in any particular way? How did you like it? How did the experience go? Was it too deep to where there was scar tissue left behind? So there's a whole bunch of deeper dives that are involved with that. And then sometimes it might come to the sad truth where there might need to be a removal done, a few sessions of removal, just to lift some of that pigment up to get to that ultimate perfect vision that we're looking to get.
So very important stuff. So we'll have to talk way more about this off camera, because I want to let you know what I didn't like about those treatments. Because I think that's a big one too, where we ask people, have you had lash extensions before?
Right.
We ask them, obviously, to gauge, okay, so you're familiar, but are there things that you didn't like? I feel like that is so important for professionals to know. So maybe you had it and you loved it, but there's one thing that the person always did that you're like, God, I just really wish that she wouldn't, wipe her hands off on the bed every time. Just thinking right in my ears. Just things that people do.
Oh, okay.
I
hear you.
I'm a little sensitive to noise, so that when I'm getting treatments done, and just people sometimes will do interesting things, and I'm like, what are you doing back there?
Yeah.
So
it's not that it's bad. Want to know what I'm doing.
Right. Big thing like light. I always like to let people know I'm extremely light sensitive. So sometimes if I don't say anything, it's my fault. But I would look back on prior treatments. I'm like, I wish I would have told them that to turn the light down, or to maybe put cover in my eyes, because you can't turn the light down. But that would have made my treatment better. So again, it's all about that communication and letting people know the good and the bad.
Truth.
Right? So if it was bad before, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that it has to be bad again. Helping people help you out, right?
Right.
So I do feel that is such an important thing to let people know.
And back to, as we started in the beginning, it's a relationship, it's a connection, it is me designing something that you want to see every day.
Yeah.
That you want to walk around going, I am a peacock and I love them.
I'm a peacock, I like that. You're like, right here, you see these?
Check them out.
I don't think you looked long enough.
Right.
Let me give you a minute. But this has been extremely helpful for me to take it to the next level when we do have our consultation and start all these procedures on me. I just feel like I have so much knowledge now going in to either avoid something or just to bring something up to you that I maybe didn't think was relevant. So thank you so much for providing me with this information, and I can't wait to show you guys my services.
Yay.